He's Troy Vincent. How are you, Troy?
Good. Things are going well. I think we're coming to a place that will make the fans, the coaches, and everyone else watching the game, we believe, happy.
Well, it's easy to understand, number one, with the exception of that third part right there. What does it mean, or the ability to perform such an act, a football move? What does that mean, Troy?
So the third, if you just, when someone says today, define what is the criteria of a catch? And as you've referenced, Rich, control, 2 feet, and the ability to perform a football act, which could be an elbow, and the Calvin Johnson, where he had control, 2 feet, and he actually hit the ground where he was turning, but he was turning under his own ability. That's a football act. The Dez Bryant, he catches, has control, 2 feet, actually 3 feet. He extends, which is a football act. So that motion of a football act, which actually mirrors what the college rule says, we felt like when we asked the question, should Dez Bryant, should that be a catch? Do you want that to be a catch? When we asked the fan, the player, the coach, the Jesse James, do you want that to be a catch? The Dez Bryant, do you want that to be a catch? And then we just began mapping the language that would constitute, what does that mean? Control in each one of those situations, 2 feet down, and then the ability to perform a football act is how Coach Payton and Coach Tomlin continue to express the ability to perform a football act.
So that's the language that would make the Calvin Johnson play that we've seen over and over a touchdown. That's what the language is in there for?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
So then, because I know the way you and the rest of the competition committee operates, what do you think the unintended consequence might be of this new rule, Troy?
Don't over-officiate. And this is something that we talked to the game officials that was with us in Indy, and here with Al and his crew here. It is the time element is something that just got people, well, what is time? What constitutes time? Because before we used to say control, 2 feet, and the time element. Now it's control, 2 feet, and the ability to perform that move. So this makes it clear with Al. So I think the Super Bowl play with Clemens is really the best picture and the best example of where we want to be. And this is where you saw Clemens had total control of the ball, but there was still movement, but there was movement with control. And eliminating the term going to the ground, these are movement can occur. But this is what, frankly, Rich, this is replay. When you think about replay and technology, this is the unintended consequences of when you have great technology. We were looking at clips with the Calvin Benjamin play where we were counting the pellets that were coming from off of the surface. But that's what the cameras and the technology allows you to see. As I always say, I saw space. I saw air in between hand and ball. Hey, the fan, we all want to say in the stadium, that is a catch.
No,
leave it on the field.
No, I hear that. So let me take this one step at a time. The Corey Clement play in the end zone, where he does shift the ball in his hands. I see what you're saying about control with the shift. He's still controlling it while he's shifting. But while he shifts the ball, that is when that second foot, he shifts the ball in between having his second and then third foot down. The third foot comes out of bounds. So what constitutes still control in that regard? Best you can tell and get a fan on the same page with you.
He had 2 feet. He had control in 2 feet before he began moving that ball to the other hand.
So that's why it would be a catch under this new rule.
Correct.
Okay. And Kelvin Benjamin, when you're saying it should stand as called, even if you're – so Al Riveron is now going to be told when he's looking at the replay in 345 Park that even if there is air around the ball, if it's called a touchdown on the field, stay with that as called? Is that what he's going to be told?
Again, we're trying to remove the subjective element is still there. There's still but for the fan – in stadium, oftentimes that official seeing that real time. And real time and replay, there's a different element. But when you can slow frame by frame, we're in West Palm and you're looking at frame by frame, that is the that's what replay has done is, hey, and the coach is saying, that looks like a catch, it feels like a catch, it smells like a catch. Why are you reversing that? The old language says the clear and obvious. So Al was correct in his assessment and what was reversed or wasn't based off of the old language. The new language here will allow officials, we would like to see more plays stay on the field.
All right, last one for you, Troy. On this one, Troy Vincent, EVP of Football Operations here on the Rich Eisen Show. So when it all comes down to it, I hear from fans so much that this is going to lead to more fumbles. Does this now mean somebody like Des Bryant, because he has control and 2 feet down and has made a football act, not only is he ruled somebody in possession of the ball, he's now ruled a runner, and thus the ground can't cause a fumble because of that? Is that the ruling that's going to be here, Troy?
So actually in the Des Bryant, if you look at that frame by frame, he would actually be down by contact.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So his third step, he was actually, before he hit the ground, he would have been down by contact.
Okay. So I guess so if somebody has the ball and they have gone down to the ground and they haven't been touched and the ball comes, that is a fumble.
That's a fumble.
Okay.
And what's wrong with that? You know, the fan on the opposite side is saying, great, we got another chance to maybe come back and score. So we do understand. We've talked about that. Actually, the catch committee had brought that up. And Amani Toomer is the one who actually raised it, like, is something wrong with the fumble? There's nothing wrong with it. It gives the other team another opportunity to score. That will occur. We will see. We have clips to show that potentially runner stumbles, falls without being contact. Potentially, that would be a fumble.
So now, while we're on the subject of fumbles, Troy, because my latest problem that I've had now that I got the help get the catch rule out, I'm going to take credit for that. I mean and the tuck rule. I'm going to take credit for both of those things. Okay.
So before I answer your question,
yes,
can you explain to me now, based off of what the committee has recommended?
Yes.
How would you articulate what is a catch? Give me the criteria.
It's 2 feet down, control, and the ability to make a football act. I get it.
Okay,
I get
Michigan grad, I get it. I got it.
No,
you got
seriously. To me, Jesse James was a touchdown, and it should be. And I think what you guys have done has now finally got this catch rule to where I think the league wants it, which means if every man, woman, and child in a bar sees it and thinks it is, then it is. I think that's great, honestly.
Okay.
But now here's the next one we got to work on. Okay, fumbling into the end zone, that the ball goes out of bounds and it goes to the defense. Troy, why should a defense have the benefit of getting the ball just because it rolled 6 inches further than the pylon? If it goes out of bounds at the 6-inch line, it goes back to the offense. Why does it go to the defense?
I don't know. We're still asking that question ourselves. No, we actually did.
Okay.
No, we did. We actually discussed it at great length, and really the committee was not even split. It was just they didn't want. There wasn't enough when you look at the data, the number of times that it happens. They didn't want to move on the current rule or language around it, and that's just basically what came out of Indy, the combines, and then we discussed it here in one of our sessions, and it was don't want to touch it. Leave it the way it is.
Yeah, it's what I heard from a member of the committee at the combine, who shall remain nameless, saying that they didn't want players to just start throwing the ball at the pylon, that there wouldn't be some sort of recourse. But then I was told that the possibility of a recourse would be moving the ball back to the 20, that you cost yourself all those yards. What's wrong with that?
So that was something that came up, moving the ball back to either the 15 or the 20-yard line that did come up. But then again, it didn't get any traction. And then when it came up again, I think we discussed it on Monday, it was like, don't touch it. Too many unintended consequences No, we don't want to create something that go down a road that's ugly for the game is the term that was used. Nope. So let's stay away from it.
Do you agree with that? Personally?
I agree.
Okay.
Stay away from it.
Okay.
Stay away from it.
Now let me ask you, Troy, what else is going to be put before the membership next week for a vote?
So there's when we look at pace of play, they're going to recommend a 40-second clock on a challenge coming out of once the official punches out going into a break. that there's a 40-second clock, that now the head coach has to throw that flag and review. His challenge has to take place within that 40 seconds. Again, pace of play. You punch out in the break, 40-second clock. We do the review during that time period, so that's something that the committee is recommending. The defenseless player, in particular the quarterback, but the runner in general, when he gives himself up, and we've seen many occasions where quarterbacks are taking shots that he just shouldn't, and even running backs and receivers at times. When a runner gives himself up, give him that protection, so that we can stay away from some of these unnecessary plays or unnecessary hits. That's something but it falls into the runner as a whole, but the real emphasis on is protecting the QB as a slider, as he's trying to protect himself. That was real, and the non-football act is a big one. So that was been a discussion since we saw the Mike Evans, the New Orleans, Tampa game when Mike Evans came across the field. It was just an ugly scene, and then the Gronkowski play. So giving New York, the AMGC, the ability to call down to the ref and disqualify or eject a player for the non-football act. And those are the two clearest examples of what took place in the 2017 campaign, the Mike Evans, that New Orleans, Tampa, and then the Gronkowski, the Buffalo, New England play to give New York the ability to eject.
Okay. Last couple for you then, Troy Vincent, NFL EVP of football ops. So the changing DPI, defensive pass interference from spot foul to 15 yards, didn't get enough from the committee?
It was still discussed. It'll be on the floor next week for vote.
Okay.
We did have some that it had some merit. It's something that will be discussed on the floor, so I'll wait till next Tuesday, Wednesday when we go to vote. But there was conversation around it. It does have some relevance, and it has some momentum, actually.
Okay.
I think people see some merit in it. So that'll be interesting on when it goes to the floor, how the entire membership feels about it. That's the Jets' proposal.
Okay, the Jets' proposal. Interesting. Okay. And last one for you. I would be remiss if I did not ask you on the personal side of things. We saw the news that you're presenting Brian Dawkins at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Troy Vincent. That is, that's fantastic. What are your thoughts on that?
Just honored. Brian is a close friend. We came into Philly together, and Brian has many dear people in his life, and he's a brother, a family member. Our wives and children have grown up together, and I'm for him to want me to introduce him. And again, it's an honor for myself and my family. Truly grateful. Brian is one of the great individuals that I've come in contact with in my life, and what he represents, frankly, in the body of Christ, and what he stands for, what he's meant to the city of Philadelphia, and allow to have me to introduce him. Just a truly an honor.
And this may be out of your purview. Last one for you, Troy. But can I make a request to get him to announce an Eagles draft pick in the home of the Cowboys?
That's I made that request last year when we finished. When I saw him and Drew going back and forth, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I'm hoping that Philly brings him back to announce their I guess it's the second or third round pick.
We got it. We got to get fair and balanced here.
Now that they have a championship, absolutely.
Troy, thanks for taking the time. Really appreciate it. We'll chat again soon.
Thanks for having me.
Always. That's Troy Vincent, NFL Executive Vice President.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.